Hello, and welcome to our presentation for Fusion 2025 On Demand, the impact of custom roles in Brightspace, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today, we're going to talk about how when out-of-the-box roles don't fit our unique needs, hence the new role request, deploying those new roles into the system, and checking to see if we deployed it to the right people or location. Did the correct users have access? And does it match the funding sources? We'll also touch on security and how it is crucial to review each tool and continuous monitoring to ensure security in the system. My name is Laura Walters. I'm a senior IT business analyst with Purdue IT, and I'm going to kick it to my colleague, Adam.
Hi, everybody. So, Adam Hagan. I'm a senior educational technology consultant. I'm based primarily out of Purdue's West Lafayette campus, and I work with our faculty. So, I'm going to hand it off to Leo.
Hi, I'm Leo Smith. I am a senior IT business analyst, just like Laura, and I support the West Lafayette campus for Brightspace administration. At Purdue University, we have three campuses sharing a single instance of Brightspace. As you can imagine, we have many users across the three campuses with elevated permissions needed to complete unique or shared tasks at a user, department, college, campus, multiple campuses, or even entire system-wide. When we receive a new role request, we approach it in the same manner. What additional or new task is needing to be completed? Can it be accomplished with an existing role? By modifying settings on an existing role? By granting additional permissions on an existing role? If using an existing role is an option, will these changes impact the purpose for the existing role? If it's decided that a new role is needed to complete this task, our next question is which org units will this role need to have access? Is it a particular course or group of courses? Many times our roles are implemented at a department, college, campus, or even system level. Is there a user or a group of users who need to be able to use this new role? Many times a role is implemented at a department or college level for a group of elevated permissions user accounts, permission user accounts. At Purdue University, we have implemented the use of a system change meeting to evaluate each role request in an attempt to share roles across the entire system instead of creating a unique roles at each of the campuses. As part of this process of evaluating a role request in the weekly system change meeting, we decide if this is a system level role or a subset of the system, along with evaluating existing roles as a group to accomplish this task. In an attempt to keep the number of custom roles in our instance of Brightspace to a minimum, we require a vote to be taken at the system change meeting to grant approval to investigate the new role. Each campus in our system change meeting is granted a vote in this process. In addition, once the new role is investigated and tested to be production ready, another vote is taken to approve the rollout to the role requester. Each of these votes require a unanimous consent among the campuses to enable superadmins to act. A recent example is the request for a collaborator role to enable our academic advisors at the Purdue West Lafayette campus to have view-only access to course content, including assignments, quizzes, along with viewing learner progress in these college-level orientation courses. And we evaluated at the same time if it was possible that one of the other campuses may be able to utilize this same new role request. I'll pass it over to Adam now.
Okay, everybody. So, once we actually get through all of the different processes and approval committees that Leah was talking about, you know, the custom roles have now been deployed. And the big question is, did we get it right, or are there actually changes that need to happen? Um, and as much as we try to vet our processes and make sure that we've tested everything thoroughly, excuse me, we don't necessarily always catch everything. But conveniently for us, we have our canaries in the coal mine. So when it comes to the end users who should be using these roles, I say should in air quotes, a lot of times they will catch the tiny little loopholes or one little item that we could have missed on, and they're the first people to let us know. So make sure that you're always relying on your faculty or staff because they can get a bunch of stuff or learn a bunch of stuff quickly because they're actually the people out there with, where the rubber meets the road, and they can let us know as they usually do. So, all right. So, a couple of things that we have to ask ourselves if things don't go quite right. And the big question is really, where is the role deployed? Now, and Leo alluded to this, for some of our customers, this could be something that's done on an individual basis. Did we just miss this person? Did we actually open it up to too many people? And you'll hear all of us kind of talk about being very cautious as far as what powers we've given to what people. Um, but we definitely have to check that and make sure that those have been allocated properly. Um, Another thing to look for is it based on an org unit? And we see examples of this from time to time where there's actually two different org units at play, but one may be a primary and one's a secondary. And in deploying the role, nobody really thought about that secondary one that was lurking out there. So I'll just kind of use a hypothetical. We might have a management course, or we'll just say even broader, the College of Business. And they may have access to a custom role to gain the ability to use one of our LTI connections. But little do we know that there's a special program going on, and it snuck up on us. We weren't aware of it. And suddenly our end users are clicking into business courses without any issue. They can get in, they can access the LTI, and then they go to another course, let's just say it's an engineering course, and they try to access the same tool and they're getting access to nine. And it's all comes down to the fact that we may have missed that one org unit. We weren't aware of it. So again, they can kind of let us know, why is this happening? And then the greater question is really, does it matter? And sometimes, we can open these up across the board, for the entire system. Now we're not even worrying about org units so much. Um, or do we want to give it to all of the regular roles in the system? Okay, well, we could do that too, hypothetically. So you really have to kind of pinpoint everything and just say, does it matter? And I will say yes, it does matter most of the time, especially if there's a pay model at play. And this could be a pay model that is really directly handled on the student end, where they're expected to, be paying for some connection or access or something like that. Um, or is it something where a department has taken on billing for some special tool that they want access to, but to restrict access to that tool, they need to be the only people who can get to it. So again, kind of keep that in mind, kind of back to the idea that I just kind of brought up and said, oh, wait, there's two different colleges that suddenly, they need access. One doesn't have it. Well, in this case, maybe some of them have it that should never have it. And now we've got staff or faculty, they're getting an invoice at the end of 30 days, and they're being billed for random let's just say like case studies, and they have no idea where they're coming from. And that can be a little scary because it looks like the system is broken down. So keep that in mind, that it's just not a matter of, oh, we created a custom role. Did we put it in the right place? Did we necessarily give it to the right person? We've actually got funding in the background that can be of vital concern. And again, I touched on this already. Can the users who actually need it or should have access to it get to those appropriate org units? It's another one that commonly gets missed is they might only exist in one side of the house. And suddenly, wait, I also need it over here in a assortment of different org units or something like that. So you really do have to do your due diligence, which of course we always try, but you have to be cautious about that. And then just to kind of sum up my section, has the train left the station? Did we give people too much power? Can we rein it back? Are we going to have pushback? And a lot of times that ends up kind of becoming, back to the groups and committees that Leo was talking about. Like, what do we do now? Are we willing to roll this back? Are we going to take it away? How much power did we give, and how much power should we have given? And now, where do we go from here? So just keep that in mind. All right, and with that, I think I turn it over to Laura.
Yeah, and as we continue to expand our digital learning environments, LTI integrations have really become essential to that. They allow us to embed rich interactive tools directly into our courses, but with this convenience comes a critical obligation, ensuring that these tools are secure, accessible, and responsibly deployed. At Purdue, we've taken a proactive stance. Every new LTI tool undergoes a rigorous security and accessibility review before it's even considered for integration. This isn't just a checkbox, it's a collaborative process involving Purdue system security, campus admins, and the vendors. We verify whether the tool has been vetted at other campuses, and if not, we initiate a full review. One of the biggest challenges we've faced is managing permissions. For example, allowing instructors to manually create LTI links might seem harmless, but it opens the door to potential vulnerabilities. A mistyped URL or an unauthorized tool could compromise student data or disrupt the learning experience. That's why we've had to make tough calls like disabling the permission manage and delete external learning tool links for instructors. Instead, we advocate for centralized deployment and transparent naming conventions. This ensures consistency, reduces confusion, and most importantly, protects our systems. We've worked closely with vendors to bring their tools up to parity with others that don't require those elevated permissions. We've also been deeply involved in the LTI 1.3 migration. This newer standard offers enhanced security features, but even with these improvements, the human element remains crucial. We've seen firsthand how important it is to educate faculty and staff on best practices and to maintain open lines of communication with vendors and internal stakeholders. We ensure our system is restricted for safety, limiting access to vendors. We do this through active collaboration, ensuring that their tools can function properly in Brightspace. Security isn't a one-time fix, it's an ongoing commitment. It's about building a culture where we don't just adopt tools because they're shiny and new, but because they're safe, sustainable, and serve our students well. So as we continue to innovate, let's also continue to ask the hard questions. Who has access? What data is being shared? And how can we make this better, not just easier?
All right, and just kind of to bring it all home, we'll go back to the question off our title slide and just say, custom roles. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? And on any given day, given the appropriate or the right circumstances coming together, could be a little bit of both. Could be all three. Could just be one. but you just never know until you really start to dig into it. So keep it in mind that you're always going to have to do your due diligence, whether it is security concerns, whether it's addressing those pay models, whether it's developing a process to try to make sure that we catch everything up front and we don't have to go back and revisit it. But at the end of the day, none of us are perfect. There's always going to be some level of trial and error as we go through any type of educational technology. So keep it in mind. Don't get frustrated. And end of the day, it's usually all right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end this presentation. I will tell you that if you've got any questions, feel free to try to reach out to any of us. And if you happen to be going to Fusion face to face down in Savannah, all three of us should be walking around. Some of us look a little more distinct than others. But yeah, if you see us, don't be afraid. Flag us down. We can get a cup of coffee, talk shop, do all that kind of stuff. So with that, I hope everybody has a good afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on where you are in the world.